Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of 5 Minutes of Management. Per usual, I'm Frank Kalman here with Rick Bell. Rick, what do we got this week to promote? The usual gamut of stuff?
Well, we have a bunch of things to promote, of course, but we are extending by 2 weeks Workforce Optimist entries. So it's the 25th anniversary of Workforce Optimist, which of course recognizes organizations and companies in several different areas. And then we have our General Excellence winner as well. So if you haven't done your entry yet, by all means go to workforce.com/optimist and get that entry in. So you've got until August 24th, which is a Monday at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So get to it.
Not 11:58.
No,
not 12 midnight.
You got until 11:59. And now we also have Workforce Focus coming up. That isn't until November. And we've already got a good panel of speakers lined up and a bunch of good sessions. And that's going to be at the Ritz-Carlton
in Boston.
In Boston. So be there. November 9th.
We're also coming to the Ritz in San Francisco for Workforce Live on September 9th. So if you're in the Bay Area, you got to be there. We just did a Skype interview yesterday with Glassdoor, Mariah De Leon. She's going to be one of our speakers. So be sure to check out that video when it hits workforce.com. We've also got Workforce Live coming to Dallas later in October, on October 27th. And then we'll be in Chicago at the Hard Rock Hotel on October 22nd. So lots of events going on in workforce land.
Gotta like it.
Gotta like it. You know what else is to like? Netflix's new paternity policy.
That's
Pretty big news this week. Netflix basically said that new mothers or fathers can take up to a year once in their first year of having a child or adopting a child at full pay. And I think the big headline grabbing piece of information for me, Rick, is how flexible their policy is. So if you have a child and you want to take off the full year at full pay, you can do that. But also, if you wanted to take maybe a month off and then come back to work part-time and then take another month off, you can do that too. It's very, very flexible. And I think you're seeing a lot of companies finally start to move this way. This is a trend that's been popular in Europe for some time, but now U.S. companies, Microsoft also announced that they're going to give their new parents up to 20 weeks paid maternity and paternity leave. So big news on this front.
Oh yeah, and it is really gratifying to see. And as a parent now, obviously that wasn't in existence when my children were being raised, but it's an excellent benefit to have and a great way to recruit and retain people. Now also, it does bring up the question though, who's going to be minding the store when these people are out for whatever it is, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, a year? And I think that's sort of the hidden thing here. Well, I think what we're seeing is with this aging population that we have in the workforce and so many boomers retiring, well, you bring in grandma and grandpa to babysit. It's like bring in grandma and grandpa to do some work in the office.
Well, that's part of the challenge that a lot of media outlets have been touching upon, is that Netflix is going to ultimately run into some cross-functional struggles where they're going to have to train people to do jobs, and it could be a little bit of a mess. And I think at this point, it's really hard to tell. We're going to have to wait and see once the plan kind of unravels and people start taking that time off. But you're right, Rick. I think a big point of emphasis to look going forward is who's going to be doing the jobs with these people deciding to take up to a year off. And then even a bigger challenge, how do you onboard those people back into the job? If you take a year off of your job, you're going to forget a lot of things, and how do you get those people back into working capacity, I think, is a big challenge for HR people moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that Netflix has thought this through. You don't just implement a policy just because it feels good. You have a business proposition for it, and you've hopefully have done some vetting as to how it would work, and maybe even done a couple dry runs on it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out and see if other companies do follow suit. But don't forget grandma and grandpa, because they're just kind of hanging out, and they, rather than going in the motorhome
they'll go back to work.
They'll go back to work. It's like Mount Rushmore can wait.
Well, that's all I've got, Rick. Do you have anything,
nope,
any new news from you this week?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, that's all we got for this week's edition of 5 Minutes of Management. Catch us next week.